Well, it's that time of year. I'm getting the calls on a pretty regular basis now, so it's time to do a video on it. And the calls are similar, and they're similar every year. My ever sweet Italians are getting aggressive. They're meeting me in the yard and chasing me around. My ever loving Carniolans have never been aggressive, or getting aggressive. They come right at me when I open the box. Well, people were in a dearth. There's no food available for them out there. You might be lucky and in a spot that, oh, here they bring in a little pollen, or they find a little something bloom in someplace, but for the most part, there's no food available. When that happens, the field bees that are normally out gathering stay home. Those are your defensive bees. So you have more of those right around the colony that want to defend it, and they need to, because the other bees are trying to rob them, and they're trying to rob other colonies. So they've got to be able to defend what they've already put up. They're trying to protect the investment they've already made. So what you need to do is feed them. And you can think about it, if you're lovey-dovey, you can think they're not being aggressive, they're just coming to tell me they're hungry and they're out of food. That's the way I like to think about it. The queen can stop laying if there's no food coming in. If the pollen source stops and they don't have excess pollen in the colony because she's been brooding like mad and they're burning it up, there's no nectar coming in. One of the ways they protect their investment is they slack off the brood, or they stop the brood altogether. Sometimes when that starts to happen, they'll supersede the queen. So now you're trying to get a queen mated this time of year, which is not impossible, but you don't have a lot of time to fix it if it screws up, and you got to be watching. So they're also trying to supersede older queens right now sometimes. So you need to feed. So what I've got going, I'm making syrup. I mix my syrup 2 to 1. So I put 5-gallon bucket of water, 100 pounds sugar in this barrel, and I heat it up until I can get it to clear and go into solution. I'm feeding 1 to 1 right now because it stimulates growth. 2 to 1, I'll feed in another 3 weeks or a month so that they can start backfilling the brood nest with sugar they can get dried. The reason I mix it 2 to 1 is it's a lot less mixing, and it doesn't spoil as fast. 1 to 1 syrup will spoil pretty quick. So I can mix it 2 to 1, keep it longer, and then mix it to 1 to 1 when I want to feed it. In order to do that, you don't mix it 50-50. You mix it about 1/3 of a jug of water, a gallon of water, and the 2/3 of your 2 to 1. And the reason for that, and I screwed it up in the very beginning, but remember, I put 5 gallons of water and 100 pounds of sugar. That gives me almost 15 gallons of solution. Now into that 15 gallons of solution, in order to change it from 2 to 1 to 1 to 1, we need to add only 5 gallons of water, because we would have put 10 gallons of water and 100 pounds of sugar to mix our 1 to 1. So if you split it 50-50, you're going to get it really, really, really thin. So that they need to have syrup, and I've even putting syrup on my strong colonies that don't need it, that have a full deep of honey above them already. But what I did was I put deeps on top of them that are empty for them to fill, so they can fill me extra deep frames. You also need to be feeding a pollen sub. So I choose how big a patty I put on depending on how large the colony is and how much pollen they have. Most of my big ones have plenty of pollen. They don't really need any, but having some fresh pollen that the bees are packing around also helps stimulate the brood rearing versus what they've already got stored. So it seems like they're bringing it in. I also do some open pollen feeding where they're actually gathering it and taking it back to the colony, so that there's some coming in. And I doing some small amount of open feeding this year. I'm just giving them a little shot in the morning and a little shot in the evening, so they've got something to focus on besides the other colonies. And then again, my big ones have syrup too, so everybody's got food in the house. And I don't see any real robbing going on yet, even though we're in a dearth. I don't have any really weak colonies either. The other thing you need to do is close your entrances down so that they can defend that smaller hole closer. Check around your boxes. If you got a box that's going bad and the corner's broke, get some tape on it, so there aren't bees sneaking in the corner and robbing them out. Because once that robbing starts, it's really hard to get it to stop. At this time, I'm also putting in fresh oxalic acid strips. A lot of them are drying out and needing it, so I'm just doing it all at the same time, so I make sure those stay in. I have found a couple of colonies that have gone queenless. They superseded, or one of them times out almost perfectly to my last inspection, so I may have killed her. And it really, it's tough. You get in there and you got no brood, no eggs, but you got open queen cells. So do I stick a queen in there and hope they don't have one coming back to get mated and I end up losing a queen? Or do I hold out and wait? So I put the pheromone strips in just so they won't go laying worker. And then I'll get back in them in a couple of days, and if they don't have a queen in a couple of days, they're getting one, because I'm getting ready to leave for 2 weeks and I can't keep watching them. So I'll just take that risk. And that's why I got those queens a month ago. A lot of them have raised their colony up to be a pretty darn strong colony already. But I can take the queen out and put it in the strong colonies that are queenless, and I can join the rest of their colony onto one that's not as strong and have a really rocking colony. So that's what you do coming into winter. And then I will go back through a little later in the fall, and I will find any empty brood frames that they haven't backfilled, and hopefully have enough, good frames of honey I can stick in there for them. So that's what I'm up to today.